Welcome to Just Minding My Business Media, where you get information that you can use. I'm your host, Ida Crawford. But before I dive in, just a reminder, please click on the subscribe button so that you can continue to get information that you can use. Well, I am so happy to bring to the platform today Raghu Kumar, who is the founder of Rain Platforms, the company that launched Trading Leagues, a fantasy gaming platform for stocks and cryptocurrency. Trading Leagues is a unique gaming app that allows users to compete against each other in skills-based games without needing a brokerage account. Winners of games win cash payouts, and games range in different levels of complexity and entry fees. Wow. Raghu has over 15 years of experience in the financial markets as a trader, a developer of algorithmic trading strategies, and an entrepreneur. He started his career in 2006 by creating and deploying algorithms, trading models for the FX markets, and scaled a proprietary trading fund from scratch into an HFT enterprise. In 2008, he moved to India and co-founded Upstox,
That's right.
which is one of Asia's fastest growing stock brokerages, where he led the prop desks and strategy development. He stepped down from active management in 2019 and felt inspired to start Rain Platform with a vision to let me get this right,
Democratize.
democratize access and education to the financial markets through gamification and socialization. Welcome, 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 sir.
Wow, thanks for that amazing intro.
Yes, I can't wait to get into this. So,
Sure, let's do it.
explain to us what actually is it real trading or is it a game? How's it work?
Sure. So Trading Leagues is basically a gaming platform. Our users are not buying stocks and cryptocurrencies. They're basically dealing with real-time prices in a simulated environment. So what that does is that allows our users to basically get started without having to open up a brokerage account and fund it with thousands of dollars, right? If you're expected to go and open up a brokerage account, usually you're going to have to fund it with a lot of money just to get started. And so because of that requirement, many people never really get started with the financial markets. It's like a weird catch 22 that no one talks about.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's why we created trading leagues to basically make it easier for people to get started with their journeys with the financial markets.
Oh, okay. That's fair. So you kind of like play until you learn.
Exactly. And if you think about how we learn things in life, we actually end up learning when we're playing, right? When you think about
Absolutely.
kids, I have two kids of my own and they love playing sports, but when they're playing sports, they're actually learning about the sport and they're learning about that whole experience. But for some reason, with stocks and cryptocurrencies, we're expected to make this weird jump from just learning things in books
Mhm.
to opening up a crypto account or a brokerage account and putting our hard-earned money on the line. And so that's why we created trading leagues. Basically, we have games involving stocks and cryptocurrencies. Our users come in from all around the world and they play games against each other. And our average user spends more than 1 hour on the application every day.
Wow.
And in that process, they're basically learning about how these things move up and down, and they have the ability to make money as well.
Wow. So let's talk about how you make money.
Of course, right. So I'm sure you've heard of, platforms like DraftKings or FanDuel, right? When you
Hmm.
watch ESPN, you're probably seeing those ads for DraftKings. DraftKings is basically what is called a fantasy sports product for fantasy sports. Essentially, you can play games against other people, and it's a skills-based environment where you can actually make money as well, right? You can bet on your favorite players, your favorite teams, et cetera, et cetera. We've
Hmm.
taken that concept and we're applying it to stocks and crypto. So, replace the S in DFS and daily fantasy sports with almost like daily fantasy stocks, right? Daily fantasy stocks and cryptos. So our users come in and they play different types of games, and they play and they have to pay, they have to pay money to enter these games. And then what we do is we collect the entry fees of all of our users, and then we basically disperse those rewards to the winners of the game, right? So, for example, let's say you are playing a game against 9 other people. Each person puts in, let's say, $10, and you end up winning the game. Then you're going to make basically $100 in that process, right? So we've kind of inverted the way the financial markets usually work, because usually we are expected to come in, fund a brokerage account with usually thousands of dollars, and maybe we will make something like 10, 20% over the span of 1 year, right? We've
Mm-hmm.
taken that concept and kind of like flipped it on its head, if that makes sense.
Wow, that's very, very interesting and unique.
It is
So,
pretty unique, yeah.
yeah, so if people want to connect, how do they do so?
So our website is tradingleagues.app. So www.tradingleagues.app. And the reason it's a .app website is because it's actually a web-based platform. So usually you have to go to Google Play or you have to go to the App Store to download different apps on your phone, right? But in our case, it's a web-based application. So all of our users play directly on their phone's browser or on their desktop's browser. And
Ah, good.
because we're a global application, we can basically be listed all around the world, right? We have users coming in from more than 200 countries that play every day on Trading Leagues. So it's a web-based application, www.tradingleagues.app. And then I have my personal, Twitter account, which I can talk about later on. But
Okay.
yeah,
Okay. I don't even know what to ask you on this. This is so unique.
ask me
Um,
whatever comes to your mind. Yeah, any questions? Yeah.
okay, so say you're a beginner and you really don't know anything. Are there different levels that you can come in on?
100%. So, for example, let's say you know nothing about cryptocurrencies, you know nothing about stocks, and you've heard about this application called Trading Leagues and you want to get started, right? First
Okay.
thing you're going to do is you're going to come in and you're going to register. It's free to register. After you do that, we have both free games and paid games for you to play, right? So, what you would probably do is you would come in and look for a free game to play, essentially, right? And in the free games, there's no money on the line. You're just coming in and playing the games. And then if you win, then you're also learning something in that process, right? So,
Mhm.
for example, one game of ours is called Selection Leagues. And Selection Leagues is basically you're coming in and you're building a portfolio of stocks or cryptocurrencies, right? So let's say, going back to that example where you're playing against 9 other people, let's assume it's a free game. You're coming in, you're building a mock portfolio of stocks. Basically, there's no real money on the line, but you're building a portfolio. So, for example, you may build a portfolio consisting of Google, Facebook, Netflix, whatever it is, right? Um, and then you specify what game duration you want to play. So we have games ranging anywhere as short as 2 minutes long to as long as a week long, and everything in between, right?
Mhm.
And then once you join the game, then what's going to happen is you're going to log in and you're going to see the real time value of your stocks and your portfolio while the game's going on, right? So now what's happening in that process is you're learning about, oh, wow, okay, Google went up 2% today. I wonder why it went up 2%. Maybe you can do some research on the side, right? It keeps you engaged with the financial markets. And if you think about the way we learn about stocks, usually it's very kind of outdated, right? Because again, if I'm expected to actively engage with the financial markets, I have to go and open up a Robinhood account or a Charles Schwab
Mhm.
account, and fund it with a lot of money. And so from day one, I'm already stressing over my money
Yes.
instead of just like playing a game and having fun, right?
Right.
So that's what we've tried to do, with Trading Leagues.
Okay. I'm just intrigued with this. Totally intrigued. So okay, you come in as a beginner, you're learning, and then you want to move to the paid games. Okay.
Exactly.
What's okay, what is the I guess, the largest payout you've seen thus far?
So yeah, it's a great question. Actually, I don't think anyone's really asked me that question in a while. Um, so most of our users actually don't come from the U.S., right? I'm assuming you have a larger U.S. audience, but most of our users actually come from Nigeria. Nigeria is our number one country. Then
Okay.
after Nigeria, it's India, Kenya, and then Indonesia and Brazil. So in these countries, people don't mind playing games for small amounts of money with the ability to also make a small amount of money, right? So
Mm-hmm.
our typical game consists of a $1 entry fee. And if you win, you'll win anywhere between 10 to maybe $15, per game.
Mm-hmm.
Right. For a lot of Americans, that's not super enticing because if I go to DraftKings and FanDuel, I can play similar types of games and I can win hundreds of dollars. Right.
Mm-hmm.
So we're kind of targeting users from certain countries right now. And then over time, as we get more and more users, we're going to expand the prize pools. Like maybe we'll launch $100 entry fee game, right, one day, where you can make thousands of dollars potentially if you win the game. But right now, we're starting small. We've got a certain plan, in place right now. And obviously, as an entrepreneur, you have to think about these things, right? You cannot just do everything at the same time.
Oh, absolutely.
Um, right? But at the same time, right now, if you are winning a game on trading leagues, you're probably making anywhere between $10 to $15.
And that's good. I mean, as far as I'm
Yeah,
concerned, I don't want to lose a lot because losing a
right.
lot, you might even kill yourself. You know what I'm saying? Because if you lose a whole lot of money at one time, that's stressful.
It is very stressful.
It's very
Yeah,
stressful. It makes you feel some kind of way,
yeah,
not a good way. So if you lose $15, you're not going to lose sleep over $15, but you're still learning.
exactly. And it's really funny you say that because there are a lot of horror stories of retail traders opening up accounts with discount stock brokerages like Robinhood, and I have a lot of respect for Robinhood. I brought them up two times, but I actually respect Robinhood a lot because they've actually been able to democratize the stock markets. But the reality is, a lot of retail day traders have opened up accounts with Robinhood and lost a lot of money very, very quickly
Right,
because they don't really know what they're doing. Right.
right.
And Robinhood is kind of targeting that crowd, that kind of 18 to 24-year-old millennial crowd. So when you don't have any experience dealing with the markets, how can you be expected to just magically do well, you know, actively day
Absolutely.
trading? So that's what we're trying to do here, and it's a pretty fun game. We kind of have designed the application in such a way where it's attractive towards like that age group of 18 to 23.
Mm-hmm.
But that being said, we have a lot of adults, old adults and some older crowd people as well. And that's what makes it interesting, because it's a game ultimately.
Yes, and I think it's definitely going to catch on in the United States. And just so you know, we are international, so we
Oh,
have
okay, cool.
people actually listening to this all over the world. So I am really loving this because, I want to be more active in the financial markets, but I don't know enough.
Right.
I don't
Have
have
you
the
have you
skills.
have you have you actively invested in stocks or actively done anything with the financial markets before?
Yeah, so during the
Okay.
pandemic, when the airlines was like $4,
Right.
uh, I bought of some of that because I figured they're
Okay.
not going to let the airlines go.
Sure.
They're going to make
That's
sure they
smart.
get paid. So
That's
that's
smart.
what I
Yeah.
ended up doing. But that's because I already knew that government wasn't going to let them go.
Right.
But anything else, I wouldn't have the knowledge to be able to trade like that.
Sure. Now, that's a really good concept you brought up there. See, a lot of people make good decisions initially, right? They'll get in when they see a stock, at a low price, or they'll kind of apply their brains a little bit and make an informed decision like you did. But then what happens is we get greedy, right? It's like,
Yeah.
oh, okay, well, I bought this, this airline stock. It went up, let's say 20, 30%. Let me do that again, right? Let me maybe I'll sell my position and I'm going to get in on something else because if I already did it successfully once, why can't I do it twice? And that's when the problem kicks in because you
Mhm.
are basically at that point gambling because you're not really making an informed decision.
Yeah.
Um, and I've seen this happen like over and over again. Like it's almost like it's a matter of time before you lose.
Hmm.
If you have that kind of mindset, it's almost like you're walking into a casino and just randomly playing because you want to play. You're not making an informed decision.
Yes.
So, and you know, and the problem there is because you haven't spent adequate time dealing with that activity. So that's what we're trying to change over here. Like because our users spend more than 1 hour on the application every day, they understand volatility. They understand that these things can go up and down very, very quickly. They get a
Hmm.
good intuitive sense of the price. And our hope is that eventually, when they kind of mature and they do want to invest in the financial markets, they're going to be more confident to do so. You know,
Yes.
that's the whole idea.
Yes. And it makes perfectly good sense,
Right.
I mean, even the schools for financial trading, they charge you tens of thousands of dollars just to attend, and you still kind of walk out really not knowing enough, because in the financial markets, it's a lot of research with the companies that you plan on trading with. In addition to that, you have to have get your mindset together, because you can't go in greedy, because you definitely going to lose if you go that.
Right.
You have to have some type of mindset training around the markets because of its volatility.
Exactly. And that's something you cannot get taught in school. Like I remember, so I was a really bad student. I went to school and I was a really, really bad student because I actually wanted to graduate early because I kind of knew that I wanted to become a trader. Like I got introduced to the idea of investing and trading in high school. You know, one of my teachers basically had all her students build portfolios of stocks. And what she did was, it was very smart. What she did was she basically said, if you get the highest performing portfolio at the end of the year, you're going to get an A in the class.
Wow.
So I ended up actually winning that competition and I got the A in that class. And that got me hooked to the financial market. So I spent a lot of time researching, reading books and things like that. And by the time I got to college, I actually finished like a 4-year degree in 2 years just so that I could get a head start in trading. So I kind
Wow.
of knew that I wanted to become a trader. And by the time I put my real money on the line, I was pretty confident and I kind of knew what I was doing. But then what happened was like a lot of my friends kind of saw me do this and they tried to do the same thing, except they hadn't put in the work.
Right.
They didn't know anything about trading or investing. They didn't spend like 4 or 5 years reading and then paper trading and then building up an account balance from a small account balance to a larger account balance. And so I saw a lot of those guys kind of crash and burn very quickly.
Yes.
And it was really sad. It was really sad to see that, because they're your friends.
Yes, absolutely. So do you still trade the financial markets?
I don't so much these days because again, I think if you're going to be trading, it needs to be a full-time thing. If you're
Okay.
investing, that's different. You can be passively investing, but I've never really been an investor. I've always been like a hardcore, like active day trader. Like,
Okay.
like in my heyday, I would take like hundreds of positions every day and flip it around. So I think you introduced me as a high frequency trader, HFT, right? Which means
Yes.
high frequency trader. So me and my brother were essentially running an HFT company of sorts. And so I come from that world. So that's the kind of activity that if you're not doing that 100%, then you cannot really do it passively. So
Oh,
I don't
okay.
trade anymore, but I'm surrounded by traders, every day, and I want people to actively engage with the financial markets. Like that's my passion.
Oh, okay. Wow.
Yeah.
This is definitely different for just minding my business. And I like the idea of play and learn, which is, as babies, that's how we learn. That's how we've always learned.
100%. 100%. And I have two kids of my own that I talked about earlier, and I see that every day. Like when they're playing and they're enjoying what they're doing, they end up like absorbing so much information into their brains.
Hmm.
And yeah, like, they love playing sports, they love playing chess and things like that. And I'm just like, like something happens to us as adults. We grow up and then we're expected to do things in a very kind of non-playful manner, expecting a different result. And it doesn't really make any sense, if
No,
I think about it. Yeah.
you're absolutely right. And you're enjoying yourself and learning.
Even as an entrepreneur, right? As
Yeah.
an entrepreneur, it's really funny. You bring up that topic. Like even today, my co-founder was telling me, because we're actually now thinking about going for a fundraising round for a company. And even with fundraising, when you enjoy the process of fundraising, when you're walking into a meeting with an investor, kind of with almost like a playful attitude, a slight playful attitude, right?
Mhm.
You're enjoying that process. I think it ends up being a win-win situation for all parties. So
Absolutely. Absolutely. You want to make it fun. When it becomes work, so to speak, it's no
yeah,
longer fun. And it just chips away at you. It just
100%.
it just does, just like
Yeah,
what I do. I totally enjoy interviewing. I get to learn so much good stuff that I never knew existed. And it's fun. It's actually fun. Yeah.
and I think that I'm pretty sure the science backs that up too, right? Like, I mean, I don't know any studies off the top of my head, but I'm sure that if you're enjoying whatever you're doing and you approach it from a playful, it's not just playfulness, right? It's also like what is on the line. So I think what makes trading these little different is like you brought it up really well earlier. You like, if you're playing with a small amount of money, you don't feel like there's a lot on the line, like a lot
Right.
to lose.
Mm-hmm.
And so when you're not thinking about your money, when you're not stressing about your money, you're thinking about something else, which is the actual activity, right? Like a
Yes.
lot of day traders, when they have a lot of money on the line, they're actually their minds are actually thinking about not losing money
Right.
and worrying about losing money versus actually trying to make better decisions with their trades. So it's like
Yes.
this weird thing, and that's what we're trying to solve, with trading leagues.
And I think this is a awesome program that you have going. Very unique. I never heard of it until today, and I'm sure my listeners have not either.
Well, hopefully that changes for you soon. As we're looking to launch in the United States, hopefully by next year. We have to obtain certain licenses. So once we obtain those licenses, we're going to go all out, with our marketing efforts. And the idea is for trading leagues to become a household brand everywhere, around the world. That's the goal.
Yes. And again, how do people connect with the set?
Yep. So if they want to connect with trading leagues, it's www.tradingleagues.app. That's the website. It's a web-based platform, so you're just playing on your phone or on the desktop. If you want to connect with me, I'm on Twitter, Raghu underscore Rain. So RAGHU underscore RAIN. That's how I can be connected with.
Yes. Well, I don't know about you, audience, but I'm definitely going to head over there and check this out because I rather play that and learn than get into the big game and lose.
100%. That's
And
the way
not
to go.
knowing what the hell I'm doing. You know what I'm saying?
That's the way to go. That's the way to go. And I think most people know that. They know that before doing something, it's better to be informed and to kind of know what you're doing. But with the financial markets, again, for whatever reason, it's been a one-sided thing where you're expected to come in and just plow in a lot of money and
Yes.
then get started. And the statistics are heavily skewed against traders. So one thing you may not know is that 95% of traders lose money. It doesn't matter whether you're dealing with stocks or cryptocurrencies, doesn't matter which country you're in. 95% of traders are statistically expected to lose money, right? So
Yeah.
that's a very dangerous statistic to go up against. So I think being informed is the best thing you can do to just be
Yes.
well equipped. Yeah.
Absolutely. And definitely have your mindset in order because no matter how good you are, you're going to lose sometimes. And
Yep.
being prepared for that mentally is very, very important to your overall success. And that's pretty
Exactly.
much with anything. You're not going to win every time. You know what I'm
Yep.
saying? In nothing.
Yeah. As long as you're winning a little bit more than you're losing,
Yes.
um, and ultimately everything is statistics. Like even the markets, you know, nowadays, AI and machine learning, all these things are very hot words. But the reality is the financial markets are driven by human beings. They're not driven by robots.
Yes.
Whatever robots are participating, they're being coded by human beings. And human beings, we drive. We're driven by patterns, right? We are creatures of habit, right?
Yes.
And so patterns drive the financial markets. So if you can capture some sort of a pattern and figure out some sort of statistical edge that you can
Mm-hmm.
capture and capitalize on,
Mm-hmm.
as long as you're not risking too much money on any trade, you can theoretically consistently make money in the long run. And that's how guys like Warren Buffett and all these veterans have done it. They've consistently been able to kind of make more than they lose.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
So
Wow, this has been very, very interesting to say the least, Raghu. I really appreciate you sharing this information with me and my audience. And I'm definitely looking forward to visiting the website and getting on board, as well as having you back on the show to talk about this some more. So
I'd love to.
thank you so, so much for bringing this to Just Minding My Business Media.
Thanks for giving me the opportunity. Appreciate it.
Absolutely.